There are 4,218 PS2 games, and I'm beating every one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing everything on the original hardware, but I've beefed it up with a RetroTink 5X, some component cables, and more to come soon. Can I do this before I die of old age? I hope so. Devil May Cry 3 was developed by Capcom and released in the US in March of 2005. Changed heavily from the second game, Dante feels more like himself, and combat was revamped with new styles players could choose between. Reception was great, with the game receiving well above average scores, although the first edition of the game was harder than expected. When the special edition released, with better difficulty balancing and more content, the game received even better scores. Can I beat this beloved entry in the series? Devil May Cry 3 is a far cry from number 2, as number 2 was just so dull and boring, and instead of making it the same way, they really injected some awesome stuff into this game, as they decided instead of making combat more about ranged attacks, they made it much more melee focused, with ranged attacks still being incredibly useful, but they gave you some extra things to use this time around that made it way more fun. They also really focused on the story of Dante, his family, and the things that happened from the first game, and they explain some of the things that happened and why they happened, which is really cool because some people didn't even know at this point that Dante had a brother. They didn't know that the guy from the last game, Nello Angelo, was actually Virgil, his brother. It's just never really said. But here, it's very clear. So, Devil May Cry 3, a game a lot of people say is a perfect game, or at least the best Devil May Cry game, is here. Let's do it. Let's go through the journey. Devil May Cry 3 takes place before Devil May Cry 1, so we get to see Dante in his shop, definitely looking younger, before it's even called Devil May Cry. And a guy comes in to talk to us and ask us if we're Dante and if we're Sparta's son, and then he has a bunch of monsters attack us. Ow, 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 they stick a bunch of their sides inside my body, but I'm Dante, so it doesn't really matter. He just walks away as if he's unharmed, which is, his whole shtick. In this game, instead of just being Dante, you have 4 different styles to choose from, which is really cool. Each style gives you something different to work with. It's not like a huge change, but it is enough to make your play style completely different. And as you kill enemies with that certain style, you level it up until it hits max level and gives you the best abilities of that style. And it allows you to kind of customize your experience to the game, which is very neat. I'm very glad they did something like this. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is, it gives the player choice. So here I choose Trickster, and I play Trickster throughout the entire game. I really like the idea of dodging, so that's what I do. This game is set up very much like number 1, with missions in different order, and you get to customize your character before you go into each battle, and the customization menu seems pretty similar. You can buy items like the Devil Stars to increase your health and restore your Devil Trigger, as well as extra lives and even blue orbs. Then you can go in and buy gun upgrades and melee weapon upgrades, and you can even switch your styles on the fly if that's what you would like to do. Combat is a little more fast-paced. I think Dante has a little bit more control than even number 1. Number 1's movements and attacks felt a little stiff, and that's not even that bad. It was stiff because it was the first of its genre being developed from Resident Evil 4. This one had a little bit more action in mind, so it feels a little better to use Dante in battle, which is even better because that makes it more fun to fight. Now, the one thing I don't like in this game is that practically the only thing you do to do different combos is to delay your X presses in different ways and press them quickly in different ways as well. You can look in the menu to see what those combos are, and once you get used to them, they're not bad. But I'm always of the type who wants to press several different buttons for different reasons. It just feels better to me, and that's just a personal preference, so if you don't mind it, that's fine. In fact, a lot of people won't mind it at all. These first couple missions are practically the tutorial, with small blurbs that come up to explain something to you. They kind of expect that you've played Devil May Cry 1, but at the very least, they do still give you the opportunity to learn some of the new things as well as some of the old things, because some buttons have changed very slightly and some skills have changed very slightly as well. Otherwise, we fight some dudes here and then fight a small mini-boss before we move on. In the background of this cityscape, we see an enormous tower growing from the ground straight up into the sky, and Dante says it's been nearly a year since he's seen his brother, Virgil. That's right, Virgil's on top of this tower and he's doing something nefarious. Here we see Virgil on top of the tower with a man named Arkham, who is helping him connect the demon world and the regular world together with the pendants that they have, as well as just trying to summon it in general. I think it's because Virgil wants to be the most powerful, and so to do that, he's got to do some stuff. And Arkham, this guy here, is a little cloudy. He seems to be helping Virgil, but why? I'm not sure. He's just there, and he has a lot to say about things that seems to be he knows more than he lets on. I mean, he has this book here, and I don't know, he just seems like he's a little bit more than he leads on. So, Virgil is trying to gather our pendants together to show how much true power he has. He wants to be the strongest, and we have it, so we are taking his challenge of bringing up the tower, and we're going to go fight him. I guess bringing the pendant directly to him. I don't know, Dante's weird. He just wants to be cool. As I continue on through the streets towards the tower, I still learn a few new things about the game, although these things are fairly familiar, like the blue seals and the red seals, and fighting a bunch of different enemies, learning how to jump off of walls, the usual. Alright, it's our first boss, our actual first boss, and it's pretty much just Cerberus, but instead of being a hellhound that spits out fire, at least right here, he's covered in ice, maybe to keep back his true power. This boss fight isn't too difficult, and once I start getting used to my dodging and where to attack him from and what to watch out for, I'm able to take him down pretty quickly. Now, the way we get new weapons in this game is by demons or bosses turning into them and having us use them. Apparently, we're just strong enough that he wants us to use him as a weapon. I mean, he really likes us, I guess, because of how strong we are, but we do get new weapons this way, and we already get our newest weapon. I do like this one because it's kind of quick and it reaches out kind of far. I like some of the abilities of some of the weapons. Other ones are fine, but this one is a fun one to switch back and forth between, because in this game, you can actually switch back and forth between what weapon you're using to keep your combo up. They have a nice little combo section inside of the menus where you can watch a video on how some of the abilities work for your weapons, which is kind of cool. And the interesting thing about this game is that in the first and second games, you had the style meter that showed up in the top right corner of the screen that lets you know how well you were doing in combat. In this game, because you have more to do, there's more things you can do, the style meter requires you to change up your tactics constantly so that you can increase the style meter up to a double and triple S, which is really cool. So instead of just being good at hitting enemies and dodging, you must also now do different moves, because the game will tell whether or not you've done a move over and over and you won't get any style points. So you've got to switch between weapons and switch between the moves you're using so that the game will continue to move up and up, because every time you get your style meter very high and kill enemies, you get more red orbs. And the red orbs, of course, unlock new abilities for you. Okay, this scene is pretty familiar. It's not like it's the second game where a woman on a motorcycle comes to attack us, and she does so with reckless abandon. She doesn't even care. This woman's name is Mary, and she has a rocket launcher and a bike. Here, Virgil says that they have an uninvited guest, which is not Dante. He means the woman Mary. And this guy here, Arkham, says he knows the woman, so yeah, that means something. The next mission has me traversing this very vertical staircase with doors all over the place and things kind of hidden here and there, but this game is a little different from number one because it is less linear, just straightforward going through a door, going to the next area, or coming back through areas you've already been with new enemies to show you that's where you're supposed to go. This game is a lot more about slightly bigger areas with more things to do, going back and forth between these spots to find out which is the right way. It's a little different than how you just find items in Resident Evil, which the first one was very much about finding an item and opening a door. This one is still kind of the same, but you have a little bit more freedom about where you're going and what you're doing. It feels a little bit more open. I fight and puzzle my way through different areas until I finally meet this jester dude who is very mysterious, and I'm not exactly sure who he is or what he's doing, but he's not a cool dude, and we do have to fight him a few times in the game. And obviously, being a jester, it makes him, you know, mysterious just in general. I mean, he hops around and does silly things, and fighting him is a little odd. They're fun fights for sure, but, you know, I mean, the whole point of his character is to be weird. It takes me a minute to understand these next guys in the next area. You're not supposed to hit them when they turn blood red because they will split off and continue to just like make new versions of themselves until you exhaust yourself and die, which is what happens the first time. It didn't quite dawn on me what was going on, and then when they turn to stone, you can break them by hitting them a few times, and that actually kills them. So you just need to do a high damage attack to turn them to stone, and then break them once they're stone. Just don't attack them too much or they will split. Okay, here's the fight with the Jester. He's got all this confetti coming out of him when you hit him, and after a while you're able to hit him during his little attack. Sometimes he just dodges infinitely and then waits until you can finally hit him. Now he does shoot these little balls out. One of them is green though. You can tell very obviously one of them is green, and if you hit that one, it drops a healing orb for you. Because, you know, this guy isn't necessarily an easy fight, but with the dodging ability I have, he's not too bad. What's kind of cool about the Trickster style is that I unlock the ability to dash mid-air and double dash on the ground, which is very fun. I like doing these dash moves. I like mobility. I like movement things, so this is like my favorite thing. I know a lot of people were telling me there's some special abilities in some of the other styles, and the Royal Guard dude is really good, but man, I love dodging. So the whole idea of this area was to just come get this item here, and that will let us progress forward a little further, and that's really mostly what the game is finding these items and progressing forward like it was before, solving the puzzles and challenges in the area, killing enemies and getting through doors. Sometimes you find statues around the area that have a special element or something that says something about what you should use to break them, and if you have the special weapon to actually break them, you can hit them over and over by doing combos. You have to do each and every combo that comes with the weapon, that at least comes with the core weapon, and then you can break it and get like a blue orb. We reach our next boss, who are guarding this door right here, and they have a little bit of playful banter back and forth that's a little lame to me, but Dante does say, I need to go through this door, and they say, nope, we're guarding it. They come down and try and kick our ass. Fighting two dudes at once can be a little difficult. Now, with these guys, as far as I understand, if you are attacking them enough, you can kind of stagger them, and they'll fall on the ground like this, and I get kind of lucky in this fight right here because I did die a couple times before I got here, but when I get these guys close together, I can hit both of them at the same time, which obviously makes it much easier to do the damage. Otherwise, I'm dodging around, getting out of the way of their attacks, and trying to stagger them while also deflecting some of their attacks, and hoping I can take one of them down close to dead, because when you kill one of them, the other one powers up. So I try and get one of them close to dead and the other one close to dead and then kill them very quickly one after another so I don't have to fight the powered up version. Once I beat them, they turn into these two sword things and say, hey, actually you're really strong, can you take us with you? Just like Cerberus did. And they say, okay, yeah, sure, let's do this. So they turn into two swords and we use them as two elemental weapons, which is pretty much just like ice and fire, which is kind of cool. The opening of the next mission shows Mary fighting these dudes by herself, and she is absolutely capable of fighting and killing them, although she still doesn't reach Dante's level of fighting, so she needs to be careful. This next area has 3 little pedestals that I need to activate, but I believe you only need to activate 2 of them. If you get all of them, you get a special item, and that's exactly what I do. The first puzzle I do is kind of this little labyrinth where I walk through doors and kill enemies, and I try and make it through to the end, and then it unlocks the pedestal. It's not really that hard. This one is actually a little more difficult. These wheels that you must smack at each side of the stage will make these monsters vulnerable. As of right now, they are extremely powerful, and I didn't really realize that at first, so I died. But when I come back, I hit these things on the wall to make them vulnerable, and then I can kill them much easier. There's also this room with spikes that are coming by, and I realized that I can just jump and dash over them. I can also, with a really well-timed dodge straight through the spikes, which is kind of cool. It's not like applicable very many places, but at the very least, finding out here that you can do that, I don't know, that's kind of cool. After getting 2 of the stones from the pedestals, it will unlock a door. If you put the 3rd one in here, it will unlock the gun Artemis, which fires arrows that are made with demon energy. And I believe this gun is probably good with another style, but with my style, it's just not that helpful. I'm trying to move fast, and this thing is a little bit slow. And apparently one of the other styles can unlock like some more gun abilities, and it's just not helpful unless you're using that one apparently. So I use it for a very short time. Afterwards, we see Mary confront Arkham, and well, we find out that she is his daughter. Bum, bum, bum. Not a big twist, but hey, he then says that he was the reason she got her name Mary, and she, you know, probably doesn't like it since he's a demon thing. And then her mom died, of course, she was talking about that. So yeah, she's not very happy about all this. She finds herself falling from the ledge where Arkham and her fought, and right past Dante, who's like, what the crap is this? I start fighting some tougher enemies I've got to learn some new mechanics for, like these guys with these big, huge coffin things. I'm not really sure what he's swinging at me, but it's not good. This whole area actually confused me a little bit, how it's made and how it wants you to take it. But once I find the items I need to get to the door, it's not too bad. I think sometimes I get confused when they don't have you backtrack in areas you've already been to. This area is all new and you have to go around it a bunch to find what you need. I think I don't know, I'm just confused. Okay, this is it. We catch up with Virgil and we, say some choice words to him, and then suddenly we fight. Being the awesome Devil May Cry 3 player I am, I beat him the first time. Once I learn, I just need to be a little bit careful when he goes to try and parry me, and then I can get him locked in a combo, dodge past him, and look at this, I take his ass down. But in reality, the cutscene says different. Like I said before, he is after my half of the pendant, because apparently when both halves come together, you have obscene power. So he knocks my sword out of my hand and stabs me in the chest, which is actually already depicted in the very opening cutscene from kind of a different angle and a different take. Obviously, we don't see them talking or anything. So here we actually get to see what happens during that moment. And we actually fight at first, but he takes out his sword and stabs it through me. Now, when he knocks me down to take the pendant, that's not all that happens. Apparently, having my blood spill on me, on myself, just out, unlocks my devil trigger, unlocks my devil power, so I get even more powerful. Imagine getting stabbed through the heart and getting more powerful. Oh, it's badass moment number 53 from Dante. He's running down this building, spinning like a crazy man, shooting things as he falls down. I mean, how much more badass can you get? Dante flies through the sky towards this enormous freaking demon beast that's just flying around, just hanging about. Okay, so we're inside this thing, and it's got these weird portals closed over with these weird tendrils that we must break open, and we have to go around the area trying to find our way through the inside of this beast. I come up to a boss inside of the boss, and I'm fighting it, and so apparently this left big bulgy thing will take your orbs dropped on the ground, like red orbs and green orbs, your health, as well as the right one, the far right one, will take your devil trigger away from you. And if you destroy one of them, at least for the time being, it will make the middle one vulnerable. And then they will come back with full health, of course, so you must destroy one of them to get back to the middle one. So you do this over and over until you get them. Seems like the devil trigger one isn't as big of a deal, but the orbs are helpful because, well, they buy you things. We see Virgil with Arkham, and Arkham is trying to open this door. Again, he seems really suspicious. Like, there's got to be more going on with this dude. It's not just Mary's dad, but he says something about fear and opening this door that Sparta slammed shut. So they're trying to open this door, probably to use the pendants. We then see Mary, and she's not happy with us. She doesn't like demons, and so she knows that we're a demon. Obviously, she shot us in the head earlier, and we're alive. Plus, we're covered in blood, and we look like crazy. And so she does not like us, and she does not want to work with us, even though hilariously in this scene, she's seen with her back with us to fighting. So we call her Lady, which her name is Mary. She refuses to go by Mary since it's what her dad called her, but he just starts calling her Lady. We gotta fight spiders. There's a couple different kinds of spiders, and they're actually kind of difficult sometimes. The bigger ones these guys kind of jump at you, and if there's a group of 2 or 3 of them, they can really get you. There's this cute little light puzzle where you break these crystals, blocking the light from moving, but also making the light move. And if you get it to go in the right direction, you're able to go forward. We do these a couple times, I won't talk about them again, but this one I actually guessed right away. I'm not really sure how it works at this point. I just kind of go attack some of them, and suddenly it works. Okay, so here we gotta find an ancient mask, and also there's a bunch of other doors with things that you need. There's just a lot of doors that need a lot of unlocking. Coming up this direction gets us Spiral, a large rifle that fires high penetration type bullets, and I don't really use it. It's slow, does not help my combo the way I'm setting things up, and it's just not that fun for me. I don't know. There's this woman here who, ceremoniously, as in all these types of games, has no shirt on and just her hair covering her. I don't know how those things are just being covered up. Like, is she using glue? This woman is pretty difficult. You really have to watch out for exactly what she's about to do, because you have to do a lot of reactive dodging, and you can only get a few hits in before she starts to move. Now, if you do enough damage to her, you can stagger her, but not when she's hitting you. So you need to make sure that when she's coming at you like this, she's gonna hug you, and I don't know what she does, but you don't want her to hug you. And eventually she does make herself a bit vulnerable. You just gotta be careful, because she can kill you so quickly. For some reason, I find Dante pulling out a guitar and like shredding on it. I mean, it's like a weapon, but he's shredding on a guitar. Now I try this weapon out a little bit, I even upgrade it, but it is just too difficult again for what I'm doing. It's a really interesting weapon that maybe at one point, maybe I'll try again sometime in the future and go for it or something. It's just a very interesting type weapon, but not good for the quick dodges and smacks like I want. Well, he opened the door for Virgil and Virgil killed him because he isn't useful to him anymore. So maybe he doesn't really have that much more going for him. I mean, he's dead, right? There's this weird section where there's spinning blades on the walls and these guys with big shields just roaming the hall, and I gotta smack them a bit and then it'll open the door. I mean, you do fight them later and they actually fight back, but right here they're not. Lady and I have a shootout, which looks very silly because we're shooting directly into each other and nothing's happening, which, it's dramatic, it's cool. But they fight for a little bit and she contemplates how her dad has died here, and it was supposed to be by her hand because obviously she thinks he's a monster for killing her mom and doing all this stuff to become a devil, and it doesn't work out. And now he's laying on the ground dead and she didn't do it. She's like really upset. Her whole family's got a big old thing going on. Obviously confused, she reaches down and talks to him while he's still somehow alive, and he's like, "Go kill Virgil," and she's like, "All right." This guy comes out and says, "Oh, that odor, I remember it. It's something like your dad, Sparta." So this guy was beaten by our dad, and now he's come back for revenge on us, and he's actually kind of difficult. He has a couple of moves that you can dodge pretty easily, especially have the dodge ability, but otherwise he can just smash you into oblivion once he rams at you and smashes things on top of your head. He can kill you very quickly. I pick up this glowy eye, and the Jester dude is back, being weird again for no particular reason other than to be weird. I mean, he is pretty creepy and he's weird, but right here we're able to grab him. After fighting some dudes and traveling through some rooms, we find the Jester in a boss fight, which is kind of weird. We didn't fight him back then. It was about another 20 minutes before we fight him, but hey, you know what, whatever. He's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more health, a few extra moves, but he is still easy to kill, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm just lucky. I like this little boss fight. It reminds me of, for some reason, the Dark Souls boss fight with the horse. He's just one single corridor here, and once you slap him off this carriage he's got behind him, you can beat him pretty easy. But he comes back in this little Coliseum arena area, and he will just kind of randomly appear and disappear, coming to hit you if you don't watch out. Now, I have the dodge ability, but man, sometimes he just catches me off guard. After beating this boss, we get the Quicksilver Style, a special power that we can use to control time. Now, I don't ever use it, but it does seem kind of cool. Ah, crap. Virgil takes both pendants and puts them into this glowy blue thing, and it looks like it's all over for us. He's gonna be the ultimate powerful demon now. Dude, these spiders are getting tough, man. Once they get to this part of the game, they can grab you with their webbing and hold you down for the other spiders to wail on you. Oh, that's so funny. He can't actually do it yet because, well, we don't really know yet, but we come in to try and stop him, and so he can't become the all-powerful demon he thought he could. Alright, we're back to fighting our brother, but this time we do have our Devil Trigger, which makes us more powerful. And it is, oddly enough, just as easy to beat him this time around. I think it's because I have the dodge ability, and I'm able to dodge out of his way. That's mostly what makes it easy, is he attacks in like this big attacks, and if you dodge those couple big attacks, you can come in for a combo and really hurt him. Ah, here it is. We're all in the same room together with the Jester after Mary comes in to try and kill Virgil with a rocket launcher. And he reveals himself to be, Arkham. That's right, Arkham is way more powerful than we thought he was supposed to be, and he didn't actually die back there, and he's also been the Jester, which is kind of weird. I mean, I don't know why he was the Jester, but that's fine, whatever. Oh no, we've got him in this like standoff here, but something happens. I mean, he's able to unlock whatever Virgil was doing before, and Virgil couldn't. So now the door to the demon world is opening, and he just gets right out of the way and starts beating our asses. Mary decides she's gonna go help and try and beat her dad, and so she shoots up a big, huge, well, it's not a rocket, but it's a grappling gun out of her rocket launcher, sure. I ride this cute little cart around this area in the demon world, or just before the demon world, and I'm fighting enemies on it. It's not too hard, it's kind of fun. It's a bunch of these weird, like, rock-type enemies. These look like horses from a chess match. Don't know why they look like this, but they are kind of neat. It's in Dante's contract that whatever he appears in, he has to be badass. After the second one, of course, he was like, I can't look like crap again. So he does this thing with the motorcycle Mary had earlier, and we all cheer. So the whole idea of this section is we're climbing this tower that Arkham made, and as we climb it, we fight just tons and tons of fights all over the place trying to reach this dude. But because of all the things that I've unlocked so far, it is extremely fun to do. The fighting in this game just keeps getting better and better, mostly because they keep adding more weapons to try out, and each of the weapons do feel varied enough that it's exciting to, maybe try something new. Although it is helpful to stick with one after you've upgraded it, it's good to be able to switch back and forth between two of them, giving you two styles of play, and there's enough weapons that you feel varied each time you play the game, especially each time you pick a different style. Arkham is opening up the demon world, and we've got to stop him. That kind of sucks. He's calling out the 7 sins, I guess. Looks like we're gathering a sun and moon crest. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah, Resident Evil. Man, they really like throwing these chess pieces at us. I mean, look, there's a castle, there's a horse, there's a knight, there's everything here. This light puzzle was a little bit more difficult because, as you can see, there are a lot more light crystals that are blocking and sending light. So you just gotta really, pay attention to where the light's going and find out which one is correct. Some of these lights can destroy the statues, some of them bounce off of them because, well, the very front of those things has crystals on them, but if you get rid of them enough to hit what you need to hit, then it's the correct path. You just gotta try for a while. These angel guys can really kill you fast if you let them combo off on you. And these guys are hard. You can't really stagger them the way I did other enemies, so I find myself getting killed by them quite often. We reach Mary, who is trying her best to make it through, but she's struggling a little bit. She's not a devil or a demon like us, so she's having some issues. So we fight her just to get her to finally accept who we are, because we don't end up killing her. And she's not too hard of a fight. If you get up on these platforms here and she's down below you, it's kind of easy to pot shot her from far away. And I'm able to kill her in the first go. She hands over her trusty rocket launcher and decides, yeah, maybe I'll just take out the little dudes below us here. You take the big gun, which, I don't really need a rocket launcher, but it's kind of cool to have. Ooh, purple sword. And we all know that the color purple means evil. This wheel thing on the wall again. It's really difficult because the enemy here is like a mini boss, and you've got to get back and forth between these wheels to break them so that he is vulnerable. Otherwise, he just sits here and beats my ass until I do it. It's pretty difficult, man. You got to really use your devil trigger right and get out of the way of his attacks, which, by the way, since it's you and him and that's it, he comes over and tries to kill you constantly. Oh, I guess Arkham left the clown back for us to fight again. I'm not really sure why we're fighting him again, especially since Arkham is up doing other things. But we fight him again just for good measure. We come back through some of the areas we did earlier, and it's cool and all, but, I've already done these areas, so somewhat annoying, I guess. This boss takes me a minute to understand. You've got to break open these things on the walls to show light on him, and when you show enough light on him, he becomes staggered. If you do all of them around the room at one time, he has nowhere to hide. Apparently he needs the shadows. So if you can do them quick enough, then you'll be able to stun him completely right in the middle of the room. Otherwise, you'll just have to hope that he's on top of you when you break one, and it'll stun him right there. And he will not fight you. He'll just shoot stuff at you until you come out of the light. So you gotta make a decision. Get him in the light once, or do the whole room. Oh, that shadow dude was the embodiment of me. This is like when Luke saw, Darth Vader in that scene and stuff. Oh, and then he joins inside of my body. It's actually kind of cool. It's another style, the doppelganger style, which is gonna be interesting, but I never tried it, sadly. Apparently you can have a little copy of yourself come out. I'm not sure if it distracts enemies, if it hurts them, but Whoa, we make it into the demon world, I think, because this looks pretty bizarre for Earth. So we have to go around this MC Escher painting-esque area and go into these different little portals where we then fight old bosses over again. And I believe we have to kill a certain number of them to unlock the path forward. I don't think you need to get all of them. I don't know which ones you're supposed to get, if there is one you're supposed to get, but you just do this boss rush mode, and it's difficult because there's not much health waiting around for you. So when you do it, you'll get some saves, I think, in between, and if you die, you can start over from there. You just pick the bosses that were easiest for you and do them. Looks like it's almost time for us to finally confront Arkham after that huge boss rush. Don't worry, before we make it to Arkham, we have to fight some incredibly tough fights on the way there. Oh, yikes, man. He looks like a demon now. He fused with all that power. Damn, now we gotta beat his ass. Sadly, this Arkham fight isn't too hard. I'm able to kill him pretty quickly, mostly because of the double trigger and my dodges. I'm able to beat him the first go, and it's still a fun fight. It's just not like super challenging, not like I expected it to be, but this isn't actually the last boss fight, so don't worry. At the end of the fight though, Virgil joins us in killing him so that he is not the most powerful demon. I mean, Virgil wants to become that, so he's willing to help us just to spite this dude. We fight Virgil for the very last boss because that's just how things are going to go. And this fight is kind of difficult. You see, he also has Devil Trigger and he can use it when he charges it up. And it's almost useless to fight him in that mode because he can dodge most things and take almost no damage. His attacks are faster and stronger, so I might as well focus on dodging, which is not what I'm doing here. It's so stupid of me to do. But hey, when he turns back into his normal self, you can use Devil Trigger to overwhelm him. And that's kind of how the fight should go. You should overwhelm him when you have the chance, and then try your best not to lose too much health before you get it back again. Although, I do like to just go in as hard as I possibly can. I can dodge, so whatever. It takes me about 3 or 4 times of learning all the things that he can do before I finally figure out when to dodge and how to fight him. And it's a pretty good last boss fight. It isn't super big and flashy, but it's extremely fun. Well, Virgil loses to us, and we try and grab him as he falls back into the demon world, but he doesn't want our help, so he kind of like cuts my hand. I mean, it doesn't really do anything to me, but he falls back and says, he'll be back type thing, you know? So he goes into the demon world, he cuts my hand, and I'm left in the regular world, and hopefully things are gonna go well now that everyone's dead. Lady decides to hang out with us, and we fight some more demons at the very, very end of the game. And this is actually kind of a cool sequence. The credits allow us to fight demons while they're going on. Apparently that number on the top right is the number of demons you've killed, and if you kill 100 demons, you get a special little cutscene at the end. And I don't. I make it to the very last one and I'm not able to kill him. But hey, guess what? This game is over. Game number 89 is complete, and Devil May Cry 3 is a really good game. For me, this easily gets an A, like a 9.6, 9.7, high 9s. There are some things that I wish were a little better, like the combo system being mostly just one button press at a time, just delaying it. It's fine, it's not bad, but for me, I really enjoy pressing multiple buttons all over the controller. I want to feel like I have to know each and every button press, and not just press X, delay, press X, delay, press X. It's fine, but I do wish it was a little more complex. Maybe that's just me. You'll probably find it just fine, but I'm weird, so this game still gets an A, still gets a 9.7, 9.8. It's still one of the better games on the PS2 ever made, so don't worry. But that's it. Game number 89 is complete. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to every one of the membership holders for Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube. I appreciate it. You guys are making these games all possible. And then thank you to anyone who was in the stream who watched me play this, gave me some tips. We learned some cool things. You watched me fail a bunch because it's funny that I play these games fast and I sometimes don't know what the crap I'm doing and I just get things wrong. Although I do have a cool predictions stat that I track, and I did get a prediction in this game. So I'm at 8 predictions. That's right. I try and predict some of the story that happens, and I happen to get it right in this game. So thank you everyone. I'll be back for game number 90 soon. Later.